Okay. So this is really essentially the same thing, except now we are going to talk about the maximum and the minimum values. And actually, we did this before as well. So again, we're gonna graph the parabola. And so when I really do try to emphasize in the question using vertex and step pattern, but that's all that you need. And really, you can decide to, again, if you just want to, if you're like, I know the A value is -2, that makes my step pattern -2, -6, -10. You can go right to that. That's totally fine. So this is a +5. So again, that's left. And then this one is down. It's what you would expect. So we have -5 and -2. So again, the negative tells us down, right? Negative step pattern. Over 1, down 2. Over 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you're talking about the maximum or minimum value, again, you kind of have to, when it's just random x and y's, then it really doesn't necessarily have meaning. But when you're talking about height or profit or area, then the y-axis is usually what we're measuring. Even in grade 11, in grade 9, you guys did those questions with this, usually cell phones. The base price is this plus $5 per minute or whatever it was. So then the Y value was the total cost per month, or the gym membership, right? Starts at $20 a month and then $5 per day or whatever it was. Or $5 per year, and maybe it was a yearly fee, something like that at the end. So the Y value is usually is what we're measuring. So profit, area, height, right? Those are the kinds of things that we're going to be looking at that are modeled by quadratic equations. So when we talk about the minimum or maximum value, usually always we want the Y value. And then we say when it occurs with the x. And the reason we say when it occurs with the x is because the x is the dependent variable, okay? So what we would say is this a max or a min when it's down? Max, that's the highest point it can be, yes? So the maximum value of the y of the vertex, so -2 when x equals -5. Okay, so now when there's only a negative sign here, what number is understood to be there? 1, so you can do the same thing. -1 is your A value. and I chose opposite. So now this is to the right 5 and up 9 instead of left and down. But we're going down, but it's back to the original 1, 3, 5. So over 1, down 1, over 1, down 1, 2, 3, over 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, we have a maximum. So the maximum value is 9. When x is positive 5. No, just 5.4. Okay, so now we'll do some up ones. So now we're going to have minimums. No, you can go right to this. So again, let's say you forgot for a second and you were like, oh, it's negative, and you tried to draw your parabola like this. I wouldn't do that on a test or quiz, okay? So this means if we're at the bottom here, that means we must be going up, okay? So you can kind of check the logic in your parabola that you've drawn. So over 1, up 1, 2, 3, over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're not going to get 15. Over 1, up 1, 2, 3. Over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I forgot to leave room, sorry. So now this one, is that a minimum or maximum? Minimum, good. So again, use the y value of negative 10 when x is 4, or I mean x is negative 6, 4. So I'm going to do what Josh said. I'm just going to go right to step pattern. Actually, this one, joke's on me. This is just 1, 3, 5, 7. There is no a value, the greater than 1. And the vertex, this is right because it's negative. There is no Q or there's no shift, so you go back to yes. So again, now we have another minimum value. Okay, so again, this is a summary slide. So if you have a positive A value, then it's a minimum because it opens up. So we say the minimum value is the Y value when X equals whatever. And then if it's negative, then it opens down. That's a maximum. So the maximum value when X equals So again, we're going to do a few examples, and they are similar but different, okay? So when you look at the homework questions, that's why there's a variety of them from different pages, trying to get you to do a few of each, okay? So they're not all the same. Same thing with 5.2. They're not all the same type of question. Okay, so this question, so A and B, you're given the formula, and then C and D, you're given the parabola. See how it says CD? Okay, they go together. So use the word maximum or minimum and add data from the graph. Sorry for the typo. Equation to complete the following sentences. So here, is this parabola opening up or down? Yep, because it's positive. Okay, so opens up as a minimum. Or you can just write min, that's fine. The minimum value of Y is 20. The Y value is just straight up, right? Up is positive, down is negative. But then the X value, even though it looks like negative 12, it's opposite. It's positive 12. B now is opposite. This is down. So then that's a maximum. 17 when X is negative 3. So then for C and D, they're down here. You can see that it's a maximum and a minimum. So the minimum value of y is 1, 2, 3. That's hard to read, but it is 3. When x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 6. And then the minimum value of y is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, when x is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so when you are given the vertex and a point on the parabola, there is a little bit more work you have to do, okay? So we're going to use vertex form, and remember, you'll get vertex form, okay? And you have to remember, and again, you're going to do so many of these questions, going or getting the vertex from the equation will be easy for you, okay? So remember, if you're given the vertex, it goes in order. Okay? You would know how to do that. Don't mess yourself up. So that is step number 1. I subbed in P and Q from the vertex. And then I need to solve for what the A value is, okay? But right now in my equation, I have too many variables. I have y, a, x. That's no good. So that's why we need the other point. So the other point will be the x and the y. You might get fractions here or weird equations, which means that you would not be asked to graph this, okay? So my y is 11. And my x is negative 3. And now you just have to follow BEDMAS. So again, you decide how much work you need to show, okay? So we're going to do, I'll simplify this first. Negative 3 squared is 9. Now, normally, we don't write this, right? Okay, so I'm going to write, actually, you know what? I won't skip steps. Most people would rather see it like that. You could have shown less steps here. I'm just showing them all, okay? So now I'm going to rearrange. Again, you can decide if you are going to collect and divide at the same time, if you're going to move the 9 over and the 11, which means you're going to change signs twice. So that can lead to mistakes. So let's just leave the 9 on, or the A on this side. Who cares? You can do that. So bring the 5 over, change its sign. Yes. Now to get 9 by A by itself, I divide by 9. Decimals are fine because we're not going to graph this. Fractions are fine, but can I leave the fraction like this? No. It has to be reduced, okay? If you're going to use fractions. And then step number 4, now we just have to make it vertex form. So y equals, and it even, this. Oh, sorry. This is step 3, sorry. Thank you. So we have a, which is 2/3, x minus p. Even though it's 0, who cares? I'm just going to put in 0. So you could write this like this too as well. That's supposed to. Were you gonna ask a question? I use the vertex. Okay, so because we're doing vertex form. Okay, so now this one looks sneaky. We are given the vertex still, but it says y-intercept of 16. So you have to remember what this means. So if you have a y-intercept of 16, the y value is 16, and what's x? Yes, good. So it is still a point. We still have an x and y value, so you can do the same steps. Plug P and Q into vertex form. I chose a negative P here on purpose. So it's up to you. So this negative becomes positive. If you want, in this step here, before you plug everything else in and maybe mess yourself up, rewrite it there. Okay, and then plug in the x and y. You can do that. So I'm following the same steps. I plugged in the point, even though it just says y-intercept. Don't push out of your brain things you already know. So you did this in grade 9, right? Y-intercept means x is 0. You know that. And now you just decide how many steps you need to solve, okay? So we've got 16. 0 plus 4 is 4. Squared is 16. So I'm going to bring the 8 over. And this time, I'm going to use a fraction because it doesn't matter. I mean a decimal because it doesn't matter. You can use 1/2. You could have reduced 8 over 16. That's totally fine. Step number 3, plug in the a value. I did step 2. No worries. Sorry, my +8 got cut off there. You also, it's bad math form. You shouldn't leave it like this either. Okay, change that to a plus. Again, your nice grade 10 teacher might not care, but your grade 11 teacher will, okay? Okay, so a few questions to practice. Again, they are not all the same, okay?